Da-da-da-da-da. I think we can get started. What do you guys think? You ready to debate some Last Jedi? We were supposed to watch this movie before we did this podcast too. Didn't have time to do that.
We're very.
I've never seen it.
Yo, wait, what?
Everyone's seen it at least once, though.
Yeah, I've seen it twice.
This is the Daredevil fan club, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the right chat.
Really though.
Hey, that newest season's pretty good.
Yeah, Daredevil is pretty good.
Wait, a new season released?
Yeah. Like a week
When?
ago.
Okay, well, what am I doing on this podcast?
Yeah.
See you guys later.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Wait, what?
We're gonna watch Daredevil season 3.
But I don't even have Netflix.
Well, shame on you.
Well, fine.
Also, new season of Castlevania.
Oh yeah, I've heard. I need to watch that shit. I need it directly injected into my bloodstream.
Yes. But yeah, enough of that. Let's get into Star Wars. So, a long time ago, like how many months ago, even? Like I think
in a
it's
galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
December last year.
Yeah, like I was on a podcast with AC Badfish where we debated. We talked about Jurassic Park or Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Where you were kind of defending that movie. No, you were against that movie. I was defending that one. And then you talked about you wanted to do a podcast about Star Wars. And I've really been wanting to do a podcast about The Last Jedi ever since. And I thought we could get together and also bring in, since we have people like Ninus here and Fire who are, I won't say if you're strong defenders, but you guys do really like that movie.
Yeah. Yes. I enjoyed it, and I'll sort of go. I'll wait for you to finish your intro, and then sort of explain myself further.
Yeah, we're gonna do. Everybody's gonna get a chance to just say their opinion about the whole thing. But yeah, so there's like ever since this movie came out, there's been. It's hard to say if there's been a big divide in the community, because I mostly just see the negatives, like from people. I haven't seen that much of the people defending it. So I'm like, have you guys seen much of defending of the series or the movie?
Nope, not really. Mainly just people being against the movie.
What about you, Fire?
I've seen a number of defenses. Not in terms of internet-wise.
Okay, so more like closer IRL groups.
Yeah. Cool. A number of people in real life who've enjoyed it. I've seen some people on the internet defending it and expressing positive opinions, but in general on the internet, like the overwhelming opinion is against the film.
Yeah. What about you, AC?
Well, I spend a lot of time watching movie-related content on YouTube, and I think I do hear some defenses of it, but I think it's a lot easier to kind of express a negative opinion because you can point out all the things you didn't like about it, as opposed to just being like, oh yeah, I really like that movie. But then you can... I guess I would have to say I have seen more negative, but I definitely think there's a lot of people defending it. It's just not as easy to do, if that makes sense.
In what way isn't it easy to do?
Well, I just mean as far as like, you'll have somebody post something specific that they didn't like about it versus somebody who's just like, yeah, I like the movie, and that's people who didn't like the movie will sit around, not necessarily sit around and make a list, but like it's easier to make a huge list of things. I didn't like this, I didn't like this, I didn't like this. But in general, when you like something, it's just like, yeah, I liked it, and then that's about it. So I've seen some people say that they liked the movie, but that's about all that they say about it.
Well, then,
Whereas when people didn't like it, they'll list out everything.
but then to me that sounds like they maybe just didn't care as much. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's saying, "Oh, this is the best movie ever." You know, this is the best Star Wars movie. So that they'll come out and just kind of say that they liked it and maybe list a few things that they liked. Whereas people who didn't like it really get down in the weeds of like, "This is dumb and here's why," and they'll list like all the different reasons.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Oh shit! Didn't mean to move that. So the overall idea...
the room itself is
The room is
changing around
shaking.
us. Brigger, what have you done?
Yeah, it's the whole debate. It's like shaking the room. Okay, so the overall plan is then to just try and discuss between us, people with different opinions about if this movie is good or not, or like if we can change each other's opinion a little bit, like see if that is possible, and just voice our concerns about this franchise, which I think everybody loves Star Wars in this room, or has at some point, and that is why we care so much about talking about this movie, good or bad.
Right, The Last Jedi, good, great, or greatest?
Yeah, sure. So, I think we can jump into the first person who's gonna state their opinion about this movie. So, I'm gonna move Pillow to the front. You're first out, and first of all, I guess you can start with what is your opinion, and then explain it.
So, for me, I would argue that The Last Jedi, as a film and as a Star Wars film, is just not good. It just in terms of writing, in terms of sort of dialogue, and just the general feeling of it as a Star Wars film doesn't hold up to that of the previous titles, which is what sort of messes with me a bit. And I'd also just like to mention that a lot of people tend to say that the film is good because it doesn't feel like Star Wars, but I would say that's not really an argument, saying that a movie is good because it doesn't feel like the movie that it was promised to be. Sure, being unique and sort of changing things up can be good, but not when you're you're sort of piggybacking off of the success of a franchise and then completely rebuilding that franchise in your own image as a way to promote sort of new ideas.
Okay, that is what you want to start with?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Then I've been on the list here. I've been trying to switch it up in opinions. So next up is Fire. So give me a second to move you up. Okay, Fire, you ready to state your opinion, you lovely orc you?
Yes. Now I do want to. I agree. The Last Jedi does have a number of key issues with it. That I don't deny. But I feel that it was a film that when watching it for the very first time, it truly managed to capture my interest, because while the plot twists, they may not have always been the best, but they did manage to really shake things up and keep me on my toes. And by changing the sort of preset expectations I had for the film, it really kept me engaged throughout. And many specific scenes in the film that I can call out, and were for the intro bomber scene, the fight in the throne room. These individual scenes are true. I felt they truly had that Star Wars wonder to them, and in that in those instances, the film truly shone through. So like I said, many of the plot elements of the film definitely have some problems. So it's not the perfect film, but I think overall it's not as irredeemable as many people seem to view it.
Okay, that's it.
Yes, that's my summation of my thoughts.
Well, once we're gone through all the individual opinions, we'll go off each other a little bit. So, next up is AC Badfish. You can step forward to the table and state your general opinion about the movie.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'm pretty split down the middle on this movie. I guess I'll just try to keep it to brief summaries here. So I guess I'd like to start by saying that when I think about Star Wars, the stuff that really I like the most about them is the Force side of things. So like your Jedi and Sith and your lightsabers and Force powers and all that mythology type stuff that comes with it, I really dig it. That's what keeps me coming back. It's in my opinion what separates it from just a generic sci-fi fantasy movie. So with that in mind, and then accepting all the canon we've been given up until The Last Jedi, which is a whole other conversation. I actually have more problems, I think, with some of the other movies than I did with this one. But when you take all that into consideration, I really liked the Force side of this movie. So like all of the Kylo Ren and Rey stuff, the Rey and Luke stuff, the Luke stuff at the end, the Snoke, all that stuff I thought was pretty cool. I thought it introduced some new ideas and kind of expanding the mythology a little bit, maybe changing up what we thought we knew. I know a lot of people didn't like the way that Luke was handled in this movie, but I thought it was pretty cool. But everything else in the movie that wasn't that, I thought was kind of dumb. Like, I mean, I don't want to get into every single example, but
give some examples.
Okay. Well, for instance, Poe Dameron. I really liked that character from the first movie, but thing that I don't understand how you get to be like a military commander of that level and then still be able to make the decision of let's just trade every single bomber that we have to take out one ship. Especially when you're on your back legs already, you don't have much force left at all to just trade all of it for one ship. I thought was kind of stupid. I didn't like how they handled Hux in this movie at all. He was already kind of cartoonish, but he went full cartoon character in this movie, and he was not scary at all. I don't like the Holdo stuff. I don't know why you wouldn't just tell people your plan. I thought the Canto Bight stuff was ridiculous. The Code Breaker, which wasn't actually the Code Breaker, JP, who was it? Benicio del Toro, that character was kind of silly. It felt like they had an end goal in mind, but they didn't have a middle part. So it was like they knew where they were starting, because for the first time ever, we have a saga movie that starts right where the last one left off. There's no time jump in between. So they knew where they were starting, and they knew where they wanted it to end, but they didn't have any idea how they wanted to get there. So they just threw a whole bunch of crap together, and I didn't really like it. I didn't like... this is kind of controversial, I suppose, because of what the internet did to the actress Kelly Marie Tran, but I did not like her character, Rose. Not to say anything about her as a person, but that character just was... We could have done without it. I just... The whole situation that they were in, I thought was kind of silly. I could have done without most of that. If they had just focused more on the Force side of things, I think it would have been a lot better. So as far as the movie in general, I have to say that I liked it because I liked the ideas they introduced, and I really hope they continue to explore that path of maybe the Jedi had it wrong. But I don't think they're going to. I think the backlash from this movie is going to push them in the other direction, especially since J.J. Abrams is coming back from The Force Awakens to do Episode 9. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Overall, I would say I liked it, but there was good chunk of this movie that I thought was kind of dumb.
That seemed generally negative to the movie though, compared to positive. So like, do you have something more to add to the positive of the movie?
Yeah, so I mean, I could talk a lot about Luke Skywalker and how they handled him. If you want, I don't know how long you wanted this little
just talk about
intro
him.
to be.
This is more than an intro. Like, I want you guys' opinion overall. Like, you guys can talk for as long as you need to.
Okay, well, so we know, like, in 2018 as human beings on planet Earth, that holding your emotions is generally not a good thing, right? And I've always kind of thought that the whole mythology around the Jedi of how they're not supposed to be emotional, they're supposed to kind of keep all that stuff intact and just use the Force instead. I always thought the Sith had it right, when they see your emotion is what gives you your power. And they want you to be angry and stuff. I don't know, they kind of take it into the, I guess the dark side is a good way to put it, but they kind of take it a little to the extreme. I like this idea of that's been cropping up lately of the gray Jedi, where they're a Force user for good, but they also use their emotions and stuff. I think that Luke is kind of coming around to that. So the ideas he introduced, where he's talking about, especially there towards the end when he's finally explaining to Rey, all the hubris of the Jedi and how it wasn't working out for them. The Force doesn't belong to the Jedi; it belongs to everybody. I thought that was really cool. I liked watching, seeing, I guess, how he dealt with the failure, which a lot of people say, well, Jedis don't do that. They would never run off and hide like that. Well, they all did, right? Like when we first meet Yoda, he was hiding off in Dagobah because of his failure. When we meet Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's hiding off on Tatooine. Well, technically he's watching over Luke, but he's not a part of Luke's life. Luke doesn't even really know who he is. He just thinks he's some crazy hermit living out. So he's not been an active part. He's been kind of hiding off. So it's not out of character for Jedi to go into hiding, is what I'm saying. So he's kind of dealing with his own thing. He cut himself off from the Force, which is a little weird, but at the end, he comes back around. I like that they are introducing new Force powers as people grow stronger with the Force and stuff. Like, we've never seen that, what do they call it on the internet, Force Skyping. We've never seen that before. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that he was able to project himself across the galaxy. That was pretty cool. I liked how Rey is finally actually getting some training. I thought that fight scene that was mentioned earlier in the throne room was probably one of the better lightsaber battles in all of the movies. Probably not quite as good as my favorite, which is the Darth Maul from Episode 1, but it was really good. I thought that they're kind of crafting this idea on the Force half of the movie that I think is really, really interesting, and I really like the ideas behind it. And like I said, I hope they keep exploring that a little bit. I'm not sure that they're going to, because one of the problems that I think that these new movies have in general is trying to distance themselves from and kind of make up for the prequels, which I think is a silly thing to do. I think they should just be their own thing and tell their own story while keeping in theme with the overall canon and stuff. So like I said, I really like the Force side of it, and I kind of hope they keep moving with that.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I have some thoughts on that too. So, and it's my turn. So, gonna just move you there, move me there, and where's me there? But yeah, that's a lot of good points. So thank you for that, EC. So, my general opinion about this movie is that I'm very against The Last Jedi, and but it's also, it has kind of like grown for me after the movie, like, because I came out of that movie so confused. Like, at first I didn't know how to feel. I even at some point I said that I loved the movie, but like it's just been growing. It's such a growing negative emotion for me, this movie. And like, the more I learned about the actual production of the movie, like the dude who made this movie, the fact that he wanted to make a movie that split the community, like, and like he wanted to change things, but at the same time, like, these movies had no plans. They just wanted to make Star Wars movies, and they like, oh, okay, we have some cool ideas. Let the J.J. Abrams decide what we're gonna start with, and then we like hand off the torch. But like, there's no overall fucking plan. Like, when you make a trilogy, it is supposed to be a trilogy. Like, you know where you're supposed to know where it ends, and like, when the Force Awakens came out, yeah, I thought it was pretty lazy writing when it came to like doing beats, but they set up some new characters which seemed interesting. But then they either like did Luke Skywalker, threw it over the shoulder, or like,
Nice metaphor.
didn't go anywhere. Like, clearly this director just wanted to do his own thing instead of being part of a trilogy, and that like, it's become such a mess. And like, but anyways, I'll go into some things I did like about the movie though. Like, scenes like Yoda showing up with Luke Skywalker was emotional. Felt like real Star Wars. Like, that felt nice to watch. That was a good scene. And I agree with that lightsaber fight in the throne room. I don't care if they killed Snoke. That's completely okay with me. But people complain that people who dislike this movie didn't want change. But the thing that would have saved this movie for me was if Rey chose to go with Kylo Ren. That would have changed a lot, and it would have taken us somewhere new, which we haven't seen before. Which they could have sorted out in the next movie. Like, okay, what does happen now? How does this situation get solved when you have the main lead going to the dark side like that? Like, do they come to the light together, or what happens? Like, that's something I would have wanted to know. And Kylo Ren, I wanted to see his character development, but it felt like it didn't change. And when she refused his hand, it felt like nothing changed. It was just a bunch of gotcha, or you didn't expect this, and then still nothing changed. I don't know how I felt about the force Skyping, as you call it. But I liked it when they explored that in The Force Awakens too, when he had the power to stop a blaster. Egg says, I have to disagree. You don't hype up a freaking powerful villain played by freaking Smeagol and then just kill him off by a freaking buff snob.
Stay on topic, Brian.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring up that comment now before it was forgotten. But yeah,
who is the Shattered Stream?
That is Egg Simon.
I got you.
Okay. Overall, I am more upset about more than the movie. I'm upset about the production because there's a lot of good in the movie. Overall, it feels more like a mess, story-wise. A lot of to go into that topic too. There's a lot of political ideas put into these movies, which alienates a lot of things and ruins the writing for me. And the people behind the scenes should have done a better job. And I'll leave it at that. Ninus, it's your turn.
Yes, it is.
Well, The Last Jedi is one of my personal favorite Star Wars contents released so far. I believe it is one of the best, if not the best, Star Wars movie released, mainly because it stands on its own and doesn't treat itself like all of its predecessors. It tries to be unique, and I believe it succeeds. I will though also agree, like everyone else said, it's not a perfect movie. It has its issues. It has some... The movie could have ended a whole lot differently, let's just say, if everybody had actually talked about their feelings and plans.
Mm-hmm.
And I also will agree with Berger, I find it sad that Kylo Ren, or that Rey didn't join Kylo Ren at the end. Holy shit, that would have made the movie even better. But overall, I believe it's one of the best, if not the best Star Wars movie, for the exact reason it actually tries to stand on its own and doesn't just try to be another Star Wars movie.
Okay,
Also-
I was. Oh, sorry. You continue.
Also, visuals. Nobody can complain about the fucking
No,
visuals.
no, they were great. I'll straight up say that they were amazing.
Yeah.
I was just joking about it being the greatest. I didn't know we actually had you actually thought it was the greatest.
No, I
Wait,
think
you're not
it's-
serious, Fire?
No, I mean I didn't think it's the greatest Star Wars movie. I just
Well-
thought it's okay. Just thought it's better than people give it credit for.
Oh,
I think
okay,
it's
okay.
one of the
yeah, Ninus,
best Star
continue.
Wars movies.
Yeah, Ninus, please explain to us more. Like, can you pinpoint more things which makes it great?
The acting, the visuals,
What acting exactly?
character acting. You know,
From who?
the performers, the actors.
Do you think all of them did like?
I wouldn't say a single actor did a bad job. I would say, what?
No, he'll get to say his opinion afterwards.
I
Let's
don't think
continue.
any of the actors did a bad job acting. I would say some of the actors didn't get roles that fulfilled their characters, but I would say all of the actors fulfilled their characters to the fullest that the script had allowed them to do. The visuals, again, fucking stunning. Like, that salt planet, even though it's salty as hell, it was beautiful. The walkers, the space battles, the interior design, the general costume design. All of that, perfect.
What about the story? The writing.
Not perfect.
Yeah,
I
can go
personally
more into
like
that.
to just forget about the Rose and Finn plot,
Which is a lot of the movie, though.
which is sadly a lot of the movie, and if I could, I would happily just watch an edit without of that plot. Which is sad.
I think you can get that actually. There is some dude
Well,
who
I
is
probably
making
can.
a Star Wars Last Jedi fix. Yes, Pilla,
But-
you'll get to say your opinions.
You'll get your opinion soon, Pillar. We can fight to the death of us. But the good outweighs the negative in my opinion.
In-
Yes,
in
opinion.
your movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And generally, I loved the story arc of Luke, Rey, and Finn. Wait, no, not Finn. Fuck, what is it called?
Ray. No. Fuck. Kylo.
Kylo.
Yeah.
Kylo. Yes. See, that's just as bad as me.
Well. Okay.
Which I find the most important parts of the movie, the development of those characters.
Mm-hmm. But you think that storyline alone makes it better than all the other ones?
Yeah. Because this story actually had me sit on the edge of my seat in the cinema while watching it. I was actually not certain what was gonna happen. I was interested. I was hoping that the movie wouldn't go against the things it done, or against stereotypes, because this movie had already shown with Luke throwing away his lightsaber that this isn't just gonna be another Star Wars movie.
Okay.
Also, about Snoke, I'm completely fine with them killing him off like that. I find
But is there anyone here who is against the fact that Snoke got killed off? No?
Yes,
Everybody's
we all
completely
agree
fine
with
with that. Okay.
I'm actually
Oh.
surprised.
Oh, I should. Oh, sorry. We should clarify. This podcast does have spoilers for The Last Jedi.
I think you're a bit
So
late
if
on
you're
that.
A little
watching
bit
it right
late.
Yeah.
Yo, so if you who doesn't
I
like
have-
the main villain is dead? Oh, by the way, spoilers.
Yeah, I did put spoiler tag in the stream. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Are you finished, Ninus?
Yes.
Okay, since Pillow, you were first off to say your opinion, and you seem to be eager to talk about what other people I mentioned, I'll let you go. Oh shit.
Okay.
So, assuming that you do have stuff to say about what people have said,
Yes.
you can
I
talk
have some
about.
rebuttals.
Try to keep in mind what everybody has said so far.
Mhm.
Okay.
So-
let's get off the floor.
I didn't actually realize coming into this how much of you actually liked the movie. I think I'm just after hearing all of you guys' opinion, I think I'm the only one who truly thinks that it's a poor film. I think besides like maybe Bragar, B and Bragar had like good things. I'd say most of my opinions on the movie are negative compared to you guys. So I'm just gonna preface it with that. I think I'm probably the most anti of the film here. But I'm just gonna start with a little bit some things that Ninus said, particularly the fact that you said, quote, I think it's the best Star Wars movie or one of the best, followed by it's not a perfect movie and it doesn't feel like Star Wars. So what you just said is best Star Wars movie, not best Star Wars, so it doesn't feel like Star Wars, and not good movie. So it just
you that you assume that the others are. He said it wasn't perfect, but that doesn't mean that the others were perfect.
no, but to say it's the best Star Wars movie and then followed up with, but it's not a good movie. So now what you're effectively saying is it's the best Star Wars.
He didn't say
Thing.
it wasn't
I
a
would
good
like to
movie.
defend myself.
He
I
said
didn't
it
in
wasn't-
any way.
Okay, you.
I said it isn't perfect. No movie is perfect.
Mhm.
I'll agree it has flaws. But as I said, those flaws does not outweigh the positives of the movie in my book.
Okay. But you followed that with talking about how there's plot holes, and as a film itself, from a story writing perspective, it is flawed. Can you agree with that?
Yeah. But
Okay.
it's very rare a movie is perfect like that. Like how many movies? Let's take World War Z. That entire plot could have been solved so easily by anybody literally looking at a hospital. Most movie has plot holes. Plot holes
Okay.
normally derive so the story in some ways can move forward. The Last Jedi has some clear plot holes as well. Lord of the Rings, some of the best
Okay,
movies
nice.
as well.
Yeah. I don't want to like be like an asshole or anything, but like, yeah, plot holes. So
Yeah.
Anyways, besides moving on from that point, I just thought that was kind of weird the way that you worded that. But anyways, I also like to mention that a lot of you guys were talking about the fight scene in the throne room, and how that was like a shining moment in the film for you guys, and especially I think it was AZ. You were the one that said it's one of your most favorite fights besides Darth Maul. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. If any of you actually go and rewatch that fight scene after me saying this, your opinions will probably change from an objective standpoint. If you actually go through that fight scene and go just like watch it like almost frame by frame, but not quite, just like watch each individual person in that fight that isn't one of the main, like either Rey or Kylo.
The Red Guard.
The
basically.
entire fight is extremely terribly choreographed. If you actually objectively watch it as a piece of cinema choreography, it's horrible. There's never more than one person attacking the heroes at one time. The rest of them are actively standing around waiting for their cue to attack. There are actual on video parts of characters walking onto the scene, making one swing, completely intentionally missing, then doing a couple spins with their sword and leaving the frame before coming back later for another swing. So just one thing that I think that you guys should all, like, next time you rewatch it, you should actually look for that, because I was surprised too when I first learned that, just how terribly choreographed that whole fight scene is. And then you have parts where, like, characters lose weapons halfway through a fight to make it so they can't kill her. Like when Rey becomes trapped by the one dude, the dude is holding 2 knives, and then after he puts her in a headlock, one of his swords actually just vanishes from the frame. Like, it actually gets post-production removed afterwards so that he doesn't have an easy way to kill her. And it's just stupid things like that are a bit silly to me. But yeah, I think what a lot of you guys are saying is that you like some of the things that they did, but overall there's like plot holes from a movie perspective. But when you're looking at it as a film and as a Star Wars film, is it more important that they added some cool things to the Force and to the lore? Or is it more important that the film as a whole actually shines as a piece of cinematography? Because when it comes down to it, that's what it is. It's not supposed to be just like, oh, look at all these cool special effects and things. Because that was one of the critiques that the prequels had a lot. A lot of people would say, oh, well, the prequels were bad because they had special effects. And it seems like you guys are using that almost in reverse, saying that, oh, well, look at how cool it looks because of special effects. That means that, and like, special effects and spectacle are more important than a narrative for the story. And I think that's the one problem that I have, is just the narrative overall and the way that characters make decisions, not for their own benefit, but more so just to further the plot.
Okay.
I would like to give a counter argument, if I may.
Okay.
Okay. About a person suddenly losing their weapons in a fight. How often doesn't that happen? It's a way to get more progress or to spice up the fight, because fight can get very stale very quickly. I believe it's a way of changing up, and The Last Jedi shouldn't be looked down upon it, unless all movies do get looked down upon for doing that trope, because it's a trope. It happens in most action movies. The hero suddenly
I don't think you understand. When I say, like, it was edited out of his hand. It wasn't like the character threw away the weapon, like, in character. No. It was just they were choreographing the fight. They gave the dude 2 swords, and then the second that he got close to the person, he moved his hand really fast, and as he did that, they edited it out of his hand so that he didn't have a way to it. It wasn't like written into the script, dude throws away sword. It was written into the script, remove sword in post-production so that main character doesn't get killed by poor choreography.
Yes, and as I said, happens in plenty of movies. Like, is it truly worse to see the character just losing the sword, or the character just for some fucking reason, like without any reason, just throwing it away?
I think you should get a choreographer who knows how to choreograph a fight that doesn't require that.
I wouldn't say an entire movie gets down upon because one scene. Now, I very much enjoyed the scene or the fight scene within Snoke's throne room. That wasn't the main thing in the movie for me. And if you look at it from just a movie perspective, I would say it becomes better in some way, because again, it is beautifully filmed, the story is good in my opinion, higher class than normal, and it actually asks some moral difficult questions. As much as I dislike the Rose and Finn plotline, I did enjoy the guy named, the stuttering guy. What was his title?
Does any
PJ.
yeah, does anyone else have something to add on to this? AC or Fire?
I do actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
In defense of the throne room fight scene, I would my defense is a bit different. It's that I feel the fight is more of sort of a performance. Is more about the performance, about sort of the quote unquote dance of the fight than it is necessarily about the details, about the consistency of it. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that the issues in terms of consistency are good necessarily. I think it would have been better without them. I do feel that in general, you said going frame by frame, you'll notice them. But in general, most people who watch it aren't going to notice those, and they'll be sort of caught up in the spectacle and the sort of the quickness and the emotion of the battle. And I think that's what's truly important. In sort of taking a more general defense, you sort of compared. You talked about the special effects and how, on one hand, the prequels were derided for their effects, while this film got boons. I would argue that the reason the prequels were derided is because their effects were they were glutted with special effects. More specifically, CGI, the CGI landscapes, the sheer number of CGI creatures that was just too noticeable. On the other hand, the effects in this film, in The Last Jedi, were more to the benefit of the story and weren't distracting. So I think it's disingenuous to try to compare the effects of the effects in the prequels with that of The Last Jedi. And those are sort of my defenses of those aspects of the film.
AC, you got something to say about it?
Yeah. So I was gonna say mostly what he just said about the special effects and the prequels. I'm actually, I guess there's a word for people like me now. They call us prequelists. I actually really like the prequels. I always have. I saw them in theaters when I was younger, and I didn't actually realize that people hated them until I was in college and the internet was a big thing.
Wait, can I butt in for a second?
Yeah.
Who here likes the prequels?
I do.
Some moments.
I think it's a similar situation. I think it's a similar situation to Last Jedi. I don't think they're necessarily great films, but I don't think they're as.
But you enjoy them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
AC, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like the prequels and all that stuff. So as far as the special effects go, I don't know. And with the fight scene, yeah, I do know what you're talking about. I have seen those clips like slowed down where they show you frame by frame, and it's just like he said. I did not notice that while watching the movie. I've seen it 3 times, and I did not notice that at all watching. It wasn't until recently that I saw that, and I was like, wow, yeah, that's pretty bad. Because you're right, they do. They just, like, one frame he's got the thing, and then in the next frame it's just gone. So like, yeah, okay, that's kind of messed up. But that to me kind of talks more to all of the other fights that we've seen, that I like this one so much. As I mean, I don't want to cause a problem, but I think that actually the original trilogy, most of those battles are pretty bad, and the prequels have a lot of good ones, but some of it's way overdone with CGI. So like this one, I would put it below the Darth Maul one, which is my favorite one. Not so much on, because this one is so great, but just because everything else is so not great. And yeah, and Brigger, you had mentioned that something that I kind of meant to touch on was that there's no overall plan for these movies. And you're right. I think it really shows in this movie especially. But part of me kind of likes that. I think one of the biggest problems that Star Wars has as a franchise is actually people, I'm not like attacking anybody, but people tend to spend years and years like theorizing and crafting like ideas and expectations of what they want out of a movie, and then when the movie comes out, it doesn't meet up to their expectations and their things that they think are going to happen. So then they say, well, this movie sucks. So I think it's kind of funny, and I kind of enjoyed the fact that Rian Johnson basically gave the finger to all of those people when Luke threw the lightsaber, or when Kylo told Rey that his parents were nobody, and then they killed off Snoke. Like the internet was going crazy for years about, who is Snoke, and who's Rey's parents? Is it Obi-Wan? Is he, is it another kid of Han Solo? Like millions of theories, and he's like, nope, they're nobody. That's probably gonna get retconned in the next movie, which is fine. But
Okay.
I thought it was really funny that
Okay.
he did that.
Can I
And,
can I step in on that point?
Yeah.
I dislike that to a big degree because of it's something the previous director set up. Like there's something story-wise, you do setups and payoffs, right? You don't do setups and discard.
Setups and fuck yous.
Yeah, because fuck you.
Right.
That is not good storytelling, in my opinion. That's just trying to make a scene for the sake of making a scene. And like, if we don't want them to do a Skywalker saga, just make Star Wars movies that aren't promoted as it. Like, don't do the Skywalker saga. It ended at 6, and do other Star Wars movies. Because the best ones, in my opinion, that they have done so far are the ones that aren't Skywalker saga ones. Like Rogue One is without a doubt my favorite.
Ooh. Yeah, I would. I'm glad you like. I mean, I don't dislike Rogue One, but that kind of goes back to my, I like Star Wars because of the Force, and movies without it could just be anything, and I liked it, especially the end with Darth Vader, but yeah, I see what you're saying, like set up and payoff and stuff like that, and I agree. It's not very good storytelling, but at the same time, I kind of feel like these movies, like I mentioned earlier, suffer from the studio trying to make up for the prequels and what people hated about them. Where they're trying to get away from all of this stuff about, certain, just being Skywalkers and stuff like that. They're trying to move away from all of that, and
But they
I don't
still promoted
necessarily
as a
agree with
Skywalker
that.
saga, though.
It kind of was.
It's just I don't think Rian Johnson wanted to make a Skywalker saga movie.
No, he didn't, and it really shows. And I agree that it doesn't really fit together. But as far as this movie on its own, I kind of like the idea that one of the things that I do hate about the prequels, and it's probably one of the only things that I truly hated about the prequels, was midichlorians. I hated that and I'm kind of glad that they mentioned it like once or twice in episode 1, and that was basically it. Like ever since then, they've kind of just pretended it doesn't exist, but it's canon.
Well,
It's
what
canon now.
about the greatest speech ever from Palpatine about creating life in the opera? He mentioned midichlorians there.
Yeah, I guess he did. But my point is that midichlorians kind of means that you have to have this thing in you. Like you've already got to be part of it. So like bloodlines and stuff like that's why the Skywalkers are such a powerful family and whatever. I like the idea that anybody could be a Jedi, right? You just have to learn how to harness the Force, and maybe some people are more sensitive than others, and therefore could end up being more powerful. But I kind of like the idea that maybe Rey isn't actually related to anybody. Maybe she just is a person that's strong in the Force and happened to get left on this desert planet by junk traders. I mean, I'm sure that's not true, and we're going to find out in episode 9, but I like that idea. I like the way that he's subverting everybody's expectations.
I have a theory about Rey, if you guys don't mind me talking a little bit about that.
I would actually like to add something to the Rey topic, if I may.
Sure. What's up?
Yeah,
Okay.
then you can say your theory, Rigger.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about bad storytelling of Rey's parents turned out to just be drunken nobodies. And the entire Luke Skywalker saga, I in some ways don't necessarily agree that it's bad story writing, or lazy story writing for that. I believe they treated it as a red herring. They alluded it to be a big important thing, while in reality it's just a thing to throw people off. And about the Luke Skywalker saga, my theory is, and I think, the new trilogy is not gonna be directly a Luke Skywalker saga, but more
But then it
a
shouldn't be part of the
legacy
saga.
of the Luke Skywalker or the Skywalkers.
But
More
isn't-
than anything, rather than like the other movies. I don't originally believe this was intended, but I don't believe we should blame The Last Jedi for this, but rather the people overseeing the people putting.
Oh yeah,
people to work.
that's how I said. I hate the behind the scenes of these movies now.
Well, I believe the main people at fault for the plot getting this derailed, which again I don't believe is a bad thing, is Disney and not the directors.
I
Because,
think Kathleen Kennedy, the one overseeing Lucasfilm.
yeah, well, it could be argued that it goes even higher. But yes, that's just the few words I wanted to add to this.
Okay, so I just want to quickly mention my theory about Rey, which kind of goes with her parents not being nobody. It's because it's literally nobody. She's like Anakin, born from the Force, pretty much. Which is like, if you think that is what, well, Anakin had a mother, but it could be possible that she is just purely of the Force.
She popped out of the ground?
No,
A test tube force.
I
baby.
mean, the fucking like that. How do you explain her being so powerful without all that training?
That's something that I have a big problem with. That's more of
No
a Force
training.
Awakens problem. So I
But
didn't.
it's
I don't
also
want to bring it up
apparent
too
in
much,
this one,
but
too.
It's
yeah, it is. But there is some train. Like she did work with Luke for like an hour, I guess. So,
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't really help her. He just sort of fucked with her.
right.
But
I
yeah,
don't know. That always bugged the heck out of me because it's like and it kind of goes back to what I'm saying about them trying to distance themselves from the prequels, because the prequels is what really showed us. They've got this Jedi Academy with all this training regiment and an official system. Like you can't be too old. You got to start young, and we got to train you up these specific ways and all these different things. And it takes years and years and years to learn and be able to master, or not even master, just be able to control these powers and whatnot. And she could just do it because she heard a myth one time. And that's something else. She didn't even believe it was true. Remember, she thought all of that stuff was a myth, which is ridiculous to me because it was like, what, 10 years
but
ago?
it's like
It
things
was like 20
she
years
does
ago,
things
40.
she would have to learn, and she just does them, like telling them how to mind manipulate. For
Right.
example, like
So,
how
like-
the fuck does she know how to do that?
Well, she heard it in a story once.
And
That's something that bothers me, but that's why I said the way I said it. If you accept all of that stuff as canon up until this point, the stuff in The Last Jedi, I liked it. But I don't like that idea. I don't understand how she can just basically be a Jedi master
Well,
out of nowhere.
see, the thing we have also to talk about, like Kylo Ren. He is the one the Skywalker left, which
Yep.
like it's. I just don't understand how you can. It is a Skywalker saga. You can't twist it any other way. Like they wanted to make. If they wanted to make movies that are not Skywalker's saga, then don't do Skywalker sagas.
Don't call it episode
But
7,
they
8, and 9.
They
Yeah.
still have Kylo Ren.
Yeah, like they still have him. So that's what I
This
was
has been
saying.
part of his story, and he is a Skywalker. So
They have to do something significant with him in episode 9 to like kind of justify the series.
I mean, I do feel they have been working, even in The Last Jedi, they have been working on developing him and sort of
I don't
leading, so you finish.
Like Kylo, like I was such a defender of Kylo Ren in episode 7 because I thought he was like cool and like he he had potential. Like, yes, he's not a strong villain right now, but he has potential to grow into one. He has a villain that can have some character development instead of just being powerful. Which he's like literally the opposite of Rey. Like, he can actually develop. And like in episode 8, he's just a whiny bitch, to put it in any other way. Like, he's like, okay, yeah, sorry.
I really like Kylo. I like his whole character.
Do you mean
'cause
8
he's
or
in both, actually? And it's kind of the same thing. It's when I defended Anakin Skywalker in the prequels, how whiny he was. It's kind of their way of showing that they are being controlled by emotion, which makes them dark side, right? Like, because that's basically the split between the Jedi and or the light side and the dark side, is that one of them suppresses their emotions and tries to, you know, just go without it. The other side embraces it, which kind of makes him crazy. And I think it's a good representation of that. So like, he's very emotional, he's very hot-headed, and I like that character. And to see him, and you said that he didn't really change in this in episode 8, The Last Jedi. I think he did. He went from solely trying to be his grandfather. He wanted to be Darth Vader so bad that he's got this mask, he wears all black, he's trying to be, he prays to the stupid thing. Like, he wants to be Darth Vader. And then in this episode, he kind of drops that, and
he doesn't drop it because he wants to, though. It's because Snoke shames him.
Right, but I mean, regardless of why, he still drops it, and he's like, well, maybe that's not for me. Maybe Snoke isn't for me. Let's just kill all these guys and let's burn our own path. And it's interesting to me to see where he's gonna go from here, because now he doesn't have a guide. And I know there's some rumors or whatever about Palpatine coming back. If that happens, I will be so upset. But
yeah, it kind of takes away from his victory.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, it's just, if that happens, not to sidetrack, but if Palpatine does come back, it will prove to me once and for all that Star Wars and Lucasfilm and Disney are completely out of ideas, and we just got to start rehashing everything over and over and over again.
But there was a trampoline at the bottom of that fusion reactor.
Can I quickly add
He was
something to
completely
this?
fine.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. What's the word?
What are you trying to say?
Expert on this, but I'm pretty sure in the old Star Wars expanded universe, which used to be canon, Palpatine did come back. And
Yeah.
A clone of him did.
Okay.
Well, a clone of him. Isn't that equally as bad?
Yeah, I don't think it's good.
So,
It's
Well,
not.
I
The
didn't- I
EU
didn't
had
read-
some weird stuff.
But it
I
was
didn't
never
read
in the
that-
movies.
no.
didn't re-
But that doesn't change the fact that it was canon. That is.
But
what
that wasn't
happened.
LucasArts, to be fair.
Yeah.
It wasn't?
I'm
Yeah,
sure this-
I don't think
adding
Lucas ever considered the comics as canon, to be fair.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
he did?
The authors were like they wrote the stories, and then the LucasArts would sort of pay them to make these stories, but they didn't like enforce any rules.
Well, it's still
That's-
made in canon.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't change.
It was
the fact.
canon, but it wasn't like LucasArts directly.
Yeah, I think the important
No,
word
but I
there
just
is
wanted to add
was.
that.
Yeah.
Like when Disney bought it, they officially said none of that stuff is canon. It's all called Legends now. So it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably for the
but
better.
they have been pulling from it. But at the same time, like, if they did that, I would be mad. I just want to see new stuff. Like when the Force Awakens and they had another Death Star for like the 5th time or whatever. I'm like, geez, can we please have some originality, something different?
Yeah, I don't think
get
the
it was
Force
the size of
Awakens
a
can be
planet, but-
defended when it comes to the overall story being original.
Yeah, it was.
So
it
can
felt
I,
very much retreaded.
Just add something here.
Yeah.
Just sort of move the conversation a bit, because we seem to be sort of stagnating almost.
Yeah.
What can we just have a little bit of a conversation on Snoke's ship and the hyperspace stuff And
Oh.
That's a good
that's a big
yeah.
point that I really wanted to mention in this podcast.
Yeah.
But also, I just want to start it by saying the Empire has never been able to keep a super weapon for more than one movie.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you're right.
What was I gonna say? Like the thing about the hyperspeed attack, or like the what do you call it? Fuck.
The hyperspace ramming or whatever.
Yeah. Like the thing about that one is that it looks incredibly pretty, very visually pleasing. But can you ever justify them not ever taking another ship and just destroying whatever their challenge is now?
Yeah.
Well, because it's basically your imagine if the U.S. Navy blew up an entire battleship just to destroy another one. It's not very cost effective.
But what I would argue is it would be cost effective for Somali pirates with their little 100-person frigate to ram it into a multi-million-dollar aircraft carrier and blow it up. I'd say that's arguably a good thing, and that's probably more accurate to what you're trying to compare here.
I'd say that. Yeah.
I don't know, because then you gotta figure. Well, I think it made sense for this movie just because it was like a last ditch. This is a desperate act, so we're just gonna kamikaze this ship to save literally the entirety of our fleet. But aside from that, it seems like a bad idea because they don't have the resources to get another one. So now we're down this whole ship, and we don't really have much to show, especially since it seems that the what are they called, the First Order can just make whatever they want whenever they want. They have limitless resources almost.
Yeah, and
so
you finish.
I was just saying it makes sense in this context because they're trying to get away. But aside from that, I don't know. Yeah, it looked really cool though.
Yeah. Okay, and this might be kind of a dumb justification, but there's. When that scene came up, I thought when I was watching that scene, I thought back to the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, and how there was an entire space mission partially based around attempting to stop a rebel frigate from hyperspacing into the Imperial Star frigate that you're defending. There's precedent in other Star Wars material for this, but again, I guess that's just a level in a video game, so not really that big of a defense. But I don't know. That's what I was thinking when I saw this film. So I thought, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've seen it before.
I have. Yeah, sorry.
I was just confused. Like, could you do that with an X-wing,
Exactly.
into a major ship, or does it have to be a ship of, a certain size to even do that?
I would think it would need to be. I mean, I think common sense says it would to do any significant damage. It would have to be a ship of big enough size.
Okay, what was it? I have a question for you guys then, which we have kind of talked about already, but we all seem to agree on a lot of things, but at the same time, we differ in is it good or not. Like, most of us agree that Rose and all that storyline is bad, and that's a lot of the movie.
Okay. I'm going to. Is it okay if I?
Yeah.
Did you want to finish your thought?
I mean, if you have something to add to that, go.
I actually. I didn't feel it was necessary. All of the plot points in relation to Cantobach. Am I getting that right? Cantobite. Cantobite and the whole sort of cantina gambler sequence. Some of the themes they brought up in terms of power and sort of the use and sort of the way the rich make their money. Those are important themes and like good themes, and it's sort of interesting ones to sort of bring up and talk about, as well as in relation to the Master Codebreaker. The sort of ideals he expresses are also of interest in regards to how he justifies the. It's okay to neither side is really the good side. Both are equal, so it's okay to support both. So that's bringing that sort of philosophy, discussing that sort of philosophy and the problems with that philosophy. I feel that's good, but I don't think it. I think it shouldn't have been in this film. I think if they had somehow managed to fit it in a way that was more seamless into a different plot, it could have worked out. But in how they did it, where they're taking, it's almost as if they're taking a quick break from a starship chase. That's my problem with that sequence.
So, just, and then Brady, you can get back on your thought. I just wanted to let Fire know this. Basically, what you're saying is that it's a good thing to say, but not for this film. Isn't that exactly what the sort of spin-off movies are about? Do you feel like that would have been better placed in one of the spin-offs, like a Rogue One style movie, talking about those ideas?
I feel like I feel a similar sequence in one of those type of films would have been good. Yeah,
like I think I wouldn't be so against what Rian Johnson was trying to do with this movie had it all just been a separate Star Wars movie than part of 7, 8, 9. I think I would be completely okay with everything he decided to do.
I'm kind of glad this is a main Star Wars movie because that.
But the thing
Again.
I have think about your opinion about this, Niners, is that you like more the idea of it than
The execution.
yeah.
Yeah, like great execution. I could have done a lot better, and I would have loved the movie a lot more.
But like you appreciate the fact that it's
The thing that drags the movie down for me is the fact that they don't follow through with what they said. Out with the old, in with the new. Because at the end of the movie, Kylo Ren goes back to the old, and I hate that.
Yeah,
that is by
it's
far.
as I said, like I feel like nothing changed either way. It's just all a sense of like fuck you for the sense of fuck you. Like, oh look, I'm a edgy filmmaker, and I'm doing something different, quote unquote, with Star Wars. But at the end of it, it doesn't change.
Wait,
Things changed.
What did change? I'm like thinking about this now. Literally, all that happened. Luke is dead and Snoke is dead. Besides that,
the rebels are sort of there's a much smaller group of rebels.
but there was
there's
but
like
that
5
could
of
have,
them left.
with the amount of rebels that we saw in Episode 7, you could have implied that there was only that many to begin with an episode. Really, all he did was kill off the two like most powerful characters. Besides that, really the rest of the film, nothing changed.
Yeah.
I would say things still changed besides.
What changed?
Yeah, like what?
Well, the characters.
How?
How? How so?
I believe they all grew in some extent.
But you just said it yourself that Kylo didn't change. Rey is still trying to be a
no,
hero.
Kylo definitely changed. Rey got more perspective, but Kylo didn't follow through on what he wanted because, as the dark side does, he is controlled by his feelings of anger, of betrayal. Because of that, he didn't go through with what he wanted.
But I'm saying that if you hadn't had this film at all,
I
still wouldn't have gone through with it.
No, Oh, sorry.
I think he changed a lot. He came from being a fanboy of Vader to having his own goals. And to truly be corrupted by the dark side. To be corrupted by his feelings. Which I don't think he was fully corrupted beforehand. Rey, on the other hand, she got a lot more perspective on things.
Yeah,
Poe
I would agree with
hopefully
those.
learned a fucking idiot. And, well, Finn and Rose, well, technically they grew.
What were you gonna say, AC?
I would say, yeah, I would agree with what he was saying. How Kylo's now fully in on the dark side, whereas before he just kind of like he thought he wanted it. Like I think he said Vader fanboy, which I think is perfect. But he kind of fell all the way into it in this movie, and then Rey has gone the complete opposite direction of where we found her at the end of 8 at the beginning, or at the end of 7 in the beginning of this movie. Is all she wanted to do was give Luke a stupid lightsaber, bring him back into the fight so she could go back to Jakku and wait for whoever was coming to get her. She didn't want to have anything to do with this stuff. Now she's full on, trying to become an actual Jedi, I guess. And then we see the Resistance left with like 6 people, no ships. They're like just waiting on. They can all fit on the Millennium Falcon now, and that's it. That's all that's left of them. So it's not as much change as I think people would like to see, but there's definitely some change. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it in the next movie. That's, I guess.
There is a... Oh, what was it? Oh, thank you, Simon, for the donation. That's very nice of you. Let's see. There's one problem I had with Luke. I'm pretty much okay with him throughout the movie. I am okay with how he acts, even though a lot of people are not. But I just fundamentally disagree with the fact that Luke would even think about striking down Kylo Ren while he's sleeping.
Okay, is it okay if I... Oh, did you want to explore that further?
I just want to quickly just finish that thought.
You can
like,
go for it.
When you the whole point of him in the original says like how he whatsoever could not he got close to killing his father after a lot of like pushing, like incredibly pushing on his person, but in the end he didn't do it because that's him. That's what needed to happen, and just because he feels a hint of Kylo Ren being bad, he's just gonna give up on him and while he's sleeping strike down a family member. That's like so fundamentally wrong in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think there's really any justification for that, because that's kind of like what you said. Luke's whole thing throughout the original trilogy is just unending, like unbelievable optimism, like just always seeing the best in everybody, just trying to make sure that he believes that everybody can always be brought back, even the most infamous villain in the galaxy who happened to be his father. He believed, no, there's good in him, we can save him. And then he did, right? He did. So it's not even like he thought that and then ended up being wrong. He was right. So I agree with you. That's like the one. That's a sticking point for me. That, and I guess I probably could have done without the blue milk creature, but
yeah. but it's okay that
but
he
now
kind of gives up on the Jedi. That's understandable. Like him feeling down and wanting to hide himself in that regard. But the fact that he tries to kill him, or even thinks about it, is just shouldn't have been a thing.
I have something I want to add, if I might.
Sure.
Okay.
I would love to hear Nias's defense of this.
Yes. I'm gonna go with the defense of, we don't exactly know what Luke saw. And the thing is, when you see something terrible, you can very easily act out of anger and fear. And when you act out of anger and fear, you don't act rational. Luke Skywalker would have never done that, in my opinion, if he wasn't scared. But because of he was scared, he did something irrational. something so irrational Luke Skywalker would normally do. I think all of us experience that at least some point in our lives where we have been angry and all the stuff, and we have done something we normally never would do. Could this not also happen to a man like Luke Skywalker? He is just human after all.
Well, I mean, it did happen to him in episode 6, and he managed to overcome it then, so I don't see how it happening again to a child, when in regards to a child being the target of this anger and fear and whatnot, especially after 40 years, not about 40, probably about like 30 years of wisdom and learning and training, on top of that already initial experience of that happening. You'd think he'd gain some fucking self-control.
Well, that's the thing. That's exactly what could have made him lose control. We can't exactly tell what's happened in those 30 years. Like, he has grown as an individual. He became older. We don't know exactly how he grew, but people change with age. And over 30 years, Luke Skywalker could have changed a lot, especially in how he acted. I believe he said it himself in the movie. He became... what's the word? He believed fully in the Jedi cause. And the Jedi cause would have smited that child down in a heartbeat. If they knew it.
No.
No, they would have.
No.
They definitely would have.
That's... okay. Okay.
There's stories of Jedi's doing this in the... well, again in Legacy again. But the good Legacy... like some games, nobody's perfect.
I to further expand on that, I think you talk about him. Keep in mind, he didn't actually go for the final strike. He didn't actually end up killing him.
He realized what he did wrong.
Again, it was a moment of weakness of his, a sort of surge of emotion from seeing a potential future, and in that moment he almost acted, but he did not actually strike down his nephew. I feel that you guys are misinterpreting the scene as if he had actually followed through with this evil action, when no, he did. He came close, which I think is a key difference.
Yeah. But to be honest, all of this could technically have been avoided if he'd actually just stroke him or hit him. Or killed him.
So he should have killed him.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that technically all of this could have been solved if Luke have just killed Kylo Ren back then. Like, Han would still be alive. Like, maybe him and Leia would even be together still. Think about it. Just pointing it out there.
I feel that's one of the. I feel that's one of those things where, hindsight 2020.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I see your points, but at the same time, I feel like it's so fundamentally wrong for the character to do.
Even if he didn't follow through with it.
Even if he didn't follow, just the fact that he attempted. But it's not. And I'm not disagreeing. It's not. I guess it could happen. Like it.
Maybe. I don't know. Now that I think about it, he did wipe out like all of Jabba's people just to save his friends, right?
Those are gangsters, though.
Yeah, but I mean,
he also
he's not
gave them a warning for that. They got like multiple chances.
He
I'm just saying he's not above killing people to solve a problem.
Think about all those hard-working stormtroopers. They had families, and he just murdered them all.
Well, to be fair, there probably were a couple innocent janitors.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they're because of the Jedi and the Rebellion.
Okay, well,
the Empire did nothing wrong.
And what's your name? I'm just janitor. Family name? I go alone. Janitor Solo. God damn it. Okay, so I think we can start to wrap this off. Let's bring this question up. what do we agree on?
It is a flawed movie, and the Rosenfin plot is not the best.
Is there
The
anyone
blue
who
milk
disagree
monster
with
is
this?
gross.
No, I agree. I agree with that statement.
But the Blue Milk Monster isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's just a silly little thing.
Yeah. Just a good old reference back to what is it, green milk? What was it they had in the original movie?
Blue milk.
Blue milk.
Blue milk. Yeah,
Blue
green.
milk.
What's the difference?
I do. Before we wrap it up, I do kind of want just. I feel like we haven't really touched on. We've touched on Luke's moment of weakness, but we haven't touched on him as a character at the later point. Do we want to just touch upon that before we wrap up?
I was completely okay with how Luke was.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't agree with
Oh,
him
okay.
dying because I think he could have grown to become more he could have grown into something more not powerful, more stable, and then maybe helped out somehow in the finish up the Skywalker. So at the end I think I wanted Luke Skywalker to finish off the Skywalker saga. That is my issue with him dying. But he's gonna be in the next one anyways, just the Force Ghost or whatever. But
Gonna be a ghost.
yeah, but
Well, like Rey wakes up in the night, he has
he just tickles her with a leaf again, like
Yes.
He starts reading through the sacred texts,
yeah.
which she kept with her the whole time. She had the sacred texts.
No, the sacred texts join him in the afterlife.
No, she still has them. They're on the Millennium Falcon.
No, didn't they burn in the fire?
No, she stole them.
No.
Oh.
Remember that was like the whole meme, is that Yoda's just fucking with them?
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh,
At the end of the movie, it like pans over and they're just like on a desk.
I forgot about that.
I think
Sacred
that
texts.
my favorite scene of the whole movie though must be the Luke and Yoda scene.
I think that
Oh,
everyone can agree on that.
Yeah, that was such a nice scene.
Really was.
Okay, let's finishing thoughts. AC.
Actually, I wish
Oh.
to disagree with that. My favorite scene was when the soldier tasted the salt while in the trance.
He's like, it's salt.
That was actually the Rogue One director reacting to that comment. He's just salt. Okay, AC. Final thoughts. Has anything changed your opinion about what we've said today? Like, how do you, at the end of the day, how do you feel about the movie, and what do you expect from Episode 9?
I mean, I think I feel about the same, just because of how I already felt, kind of split down the middle. Yeah, I think that some stuff could have been better, for sure. I still like the Force side of stuff. I'm still hoping that they continue some of the things and ideas that they brought up in this movie, even though I'm pretty sure they're not going to. I still don't really like a lot of the I don't even know how to call it. I guess the Resistance storyline stuff that happened in this. So yeah, overall, I still like the movie, and I can still watch it. I mean, I've seen it 3 or 4 times. It's definitely not one of my favorites.
What is your favorite?
Do I really have to answer that?
Yes.
I
want to hear everybody's favorite at the end.
It's really hard for me to pick, but my answer, when I think about my favorite Star Wars moments, is generally what it comes down to, because I really do like all of the movies. But the movie, when I think about my favorite moments, the movie that contains a large majority of them is probably Episode 1. I'm probably the only person on the planet willing to admit that that's my favorite Star Wars movie,
okay,
but I really like it.
I
So
respect your
that's
opinion.
probably my favorite.
Yeah. Anything else to add before finishing off?
No, I think that about covers covers
Well,
everything.
what did you think about people's? What did you feel like people here brought anything new to the table that you found that interesting, or?
I do like hearing all the different opinions and see how people approach the movie. I think I think it's definitely some stuff to think about. Watch it, but overall, I think my opinions at least are more or less the same as they were.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, AC. Is there anything you would like to plug before finishing?
Oh, I'm not doing much of anything these days. Keep watching the Shattered Stream.
Okay. Yeah, I'll accept that one.
I'll allow it.
Yep. That seems okay. Ninus.
Oh fuck. Well.
If you want to wait a turn, I can let somebody.
Nah.
Okay.
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay.
I think. Well, generally, this conversation hasn't really, in my opinion, changed my views on the movie. But I would like to remind everyone that this movie is a piece of art, and like all art, it's what's the word? Subjectical?
Subjective.
Subjective. So
Subjectical.
shut up. I'm enjoying my wine.
Yes.
So we all are gonna view this differently. I don't think many of us could be convinced that it's gonna be a worse or good movie. So I'm keeping firm in, well,
Yeah, I think it's important to respect that the people can. That's the problem with this whole movie, is that people are very bad at accepting that people either like the movie or don't like it.
yeah.
Like, they're very bad at accepting that and just go at each other for it. But I think we should all try and be respectful that Ninus is really defending this movie, and he has the right to do so.
Yeah. So basically,
Even though it's wrong, stop it.
Exactly.
No. He
Yeah.
wrote to Braga instead of me. That's what Braga's telling us.
Okay, so continue now. Sorry.
No, that's my final statement on the movie.
Well, what did you? Well, did even though you didn't change your opinion, how did anything like other people bring up anything that you found interesting? Oh, I haven't thought of that. Okay, that kind of.
I found a lot of Pillow's views interesting,
Yeah.
mainly because the word yours, and God, if I'd gotten like $1 for every time I heard your views, like. But generally, I found Pillow's views very interesting, especially the idea about that about the movie not being good because it's a different Star Wars movie. I, of course, highly disagree with, but I found that very interesting.
You can understand how he feels like that, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
yeah, that's the important bit. Okay, Fire, you want to go?
Sure. When I first walked into this movie, I remembered I was kind of burnt out because when I had first walked into the first movie in the new series, the
Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens, yeah. I had exponentially high expectations. That really, I was kind of setting myself to be let down. As a result, when I walked into this film, I didn't really have any expectations. I was just, it'll be another film. Maybe it'll be good. And as a result, I ended up really. I remember when I walked out of the film, I said to myself, holy jeez, that was really good. I really enjoyed that one. And again, it's not like I am surprised about how some of the people, how much some of the people like this film, because I remember as soon as Holdo Tercine, I said to myself, oh wow, yeah, there are going to be a lot of people who hate this movie just because from the Holdo scene. But even still, it's a movie that I walked away from saying, that's what I've been looking for in a Star Wars film. In spite of all the flaws, that's what I've been wanting, and it's so so yeah, so I feel like again, I feel a lot of people had some great points about the flaws of this movie, where it went wrong, and I agree with many of them. But I felt this film still managed to hit some good notes. And in sort of to wrap up with my personal favorite Star Wars film, I'd have to say it'd be the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're supposed to tell us Star Wars movies. Fuck.
No. My actual favorite would be Return of the Jedi, the episode 6.
Why that one?
That one had some. For me, it had a lot of good. Well, it's not everyone's typical favorite, since us normally go to episode 3 or 4. No, episode 4 or 6.
4 or 5.
4 or 5. Sorry. 4 or 5. It had a lot of key scenes that, watching it in childhood, really stuck out to me. So as at the time, what was meant to be sort of the final film in the series, it
had a nice finality to it.
Yeah, a nice finality to it, and a lot of really. I mean, I know a lot of people dislike the Ewok fight, but I love that entire battle.
Wait,
I hear there are people who dislike the Ewoks in their
Lots of people dislike them.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. The Jabba's palace is memorable. So it's for me, it has a lot of very memorable. Return of the Jedi, very holds a special place for me.
Wait a second. Wait, Disney just announced new movie.
Wait, what?
Oh, is this topical?
Wait.
Has this just turned into a
Disney
topical
just
podcast?
announced a new movie on their Twitter. Well, which Disney? I don't. This
Oh, there's too many Disney.
Yeah.
Stop pushing. Just pick the Disney.
studio. Is it that one? No, I don't see any announcements.
Well, then maybe you read false news.
Did you fucking with me, Egg? What is this?
We demand links.
Does anyone see anything about this?
No.
I
Where
don't
do you
follow
even find
any
this?
movie studio on Twitter.
Check my next message.
I guess we'll just assume that it's fake news for now.
We're assuming that Egg.
Are you gonna message me with it?
I think he already did. Jack thoughts and share, maybe.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, I was joking. God damn it, derailing the whole
God
thing.
damn it. I suggest that we demote Egg from
yes.
an egg to a yolk.
he's just a yoke.
What a
He's
shitty
just
joke.
a yolk. Yes. Fuck, that wasn't even a. God damn
That
it,
wasn't even a what?
It wasn't even a yoke, Ninus.
It wasn't even a joke.
Yeah, Ninus, quickly, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
I don't have one, I have 3.
What are your 3 favorite ones?
Number 2, number 5, and number 8.
Oh, wow, okay. Pillow,
Yeah.
this is your turn to say your final words.
My final words. So, we really didn't get here. I wouldn't say that my opinion has changed, but at the same time, I didn't come in here thinking my opinion would change. But I like getting to hear other people's perspectives and learn some stuff from other people. I can still safely say that episode 8 is the reason that I have yet to see Solo, Star Wars story. I've yet to watch that film because I'm still salty about fucking Last Jedi. I can also say that it's the only Star Wars movie, except for like maybe Solo, but I get the chance that I refuse to watch. That I've like been offered to watch this movie, and I've actively avoided it because I don't want to watch it. Typically, you could name any Star Wars movie and say, "Hey, want to watch this?" and I will clear up my schedule to watch that fucking movie. Not Last Jedi. I don't find pleasure in watching that movie. I don't enjoy any aspect of my viewership when I'm taking part in that film. So I'll still say that I'm very negative towards it, but I'm
I can
still a
say
massive
that
Star Wars fan.
The Solo movie isn't as bad as The Last Jedi, from someone who doesn't like The Last Jedi. Like, it's an okay Star Wars movie. It's a general good Star Wars movie. It's like an average at best, but it's not bad. It doesn't do anything to piss you off, you can say. But it just isn't that interesting. That's all. But it has some cool moments.
Yeah, but
I'd say you can watch it. Like, it's not gonna kill you to watch it.
yeah, but yeah, that's sort of it. The Last Jedi. I still believe fundamentally that it's a flawed piece of cinematography, and that it doesn't hold up as a Star Wars movie by any standard, except by Disney's standards. That's because if I were to say it doesn't, then I'd be called racist.
I wouldn't say it
and
holds
I
up to
don't feel
Disney
like that.
standards because they tend to not like controversial movies.
No, don't worry.
They all-
You wouldn't be called a racist, just a sexist.
Yeah, exactly. I'd just be called a sexist and a male, white, degenerate scum. But anyways, that's a whole other debate. That's, yeah. I don't know, man. Disney just makes me mad when it comes to Star Wars movies now, and I don't respect them for it in that aspect.
See, I don't think it's Disney's fault necessarily. I think
It's
it's all up
the
to Kathleen
employees.
Kennedy to run this shit, and she's not running it. And I think they might have stepped in more now that they see the mess that it's in, but yeah. I wouldn't necessarily blame Disney for this.
And in terms of my favorite Star Wars movie, I'd say I think I have I can't just choose one, but I'd say if I had to choose one to say that was from my little childhood mind of wonderment and Star Warsiness, I would probably say Episode 3 is my favorite. So, you know, prequels.
How have you felt about the different opinions today? Like, do you understand them at least? Like, do you get to why they like it, or?
I don't understand Ninus's opinion at all, but Fire and AZ, I both definitely agree with a lot of the stuff that they're saying. Not necessarily. I don't agree with them, but I agree with some of the why they think the way they do.
Yeah. Well, the thing. I don't think to try and say what you've been trying to say, Ninus, is you don't care if it's a Skywalker film. You just want something different.
I want a good story in a cool setting, and I believe this movie completely delivered on that.
And you don't care that it's a Star Wars movie. You just want a movie that you find cool and interesting, and it spices things up maybe, or it changes things. That is coming from people like me and Pillow, who are more we are really invested in the fact that it's Star Wars, the Star Wars lore, and we come from people who love developing world building and all that kind of shit, which we're not coming from the standpoint of it being in a what do you say, solely focused on one movie being an art, if you can call it like that.
It's part of something.
Yeah, it's part of something bigger, which is what we love about it. But you wanted to come see one piece of art. That's the difference, I think, between us. Not saying that making a whole cinematic universe isn't art, but you wanted that art piece.
Yeah, I enjoy my art.
That so, saying that, do you understand that, Pillow?
Yeah. I guess I can, but even I won't get like too into it. But even then, I would still argue that just as a piece of art on its own, it doesn't really stand up.
Okay. Yeah, I think unless you have anything else to say.
Nope.
Okay, let me just finish off then. So, I can, first of all, I'll say I understand people liking. I understand Juninus why you like it. I think it just comes down to what we want from a movie. It's just different. And there are moments in this movie which I think are good, but I don't think they outweigh the bad of this movie. And the continuing, in my opinion, clusterfuck of a setup or like your control over this franchise is just too much of a mess. Like Kathleen Kennedy has no control over the directors or what they're planning to do with the product she is supposed to have control over. And when they disagree with her, she just like she has fired almost all directors besides Rian Johnson from a Star Wars movie. And what was it, like the dude who was supposed to do episode 9, he was fired because he didn't agree with Luke dying and stuff like that. And the fact that it wants to split the fan base just seems like the wrong thing to go about doing it. But yeah, my favorite movie is gonna be Revenge of the Sith, and a close second is gonna be Rogue One. Rogue One is just because I just the style and the feel of that movie just seems right to me. That's this type of Star Wars movie I want. Had there been like more Jedi and stuff like that involved in that movie, I think that would have been my all-time favorite. I just kind of like the darker themes of Star Wars, I guess. But yeah, I think that's what I have to say about it. Thank you guys for hanging out on the podcast today. I think it's cool that we can come together and not hate each other for having different opinions, but respectfully disagree.
No, I hate you for your opinion.
Shut up, Nice. I don't. No, I'm gonna put you out of frame. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's see. Yeah. All we see is your glass now. What you gonna do?
That's not fair.
Yeah, no, I have the control here. Okay. Shut up, puppet. Okay.
Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'll respect the people with the middle ground.
I'll respect the people who can like somewhat be convinced that I'm right.
I'm gonna take this last Jedi mug and I'm gonna keep that out of frame too. There we go. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out. And sorry, Egg, that we didn't get to talk about poor Snoke getting offed that much.
That's why he could have gone. It was a great death. Nothing to complain about.
Oh, look, there you go. I have something that I can agree with Ninus on. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
The way to end it.
And yeah, we're gonna do LOTC streams on Tuesday. That's like we're trying to do every Tuesday. And I'm gonna try and set up another podcast soon. What it will be about, I will announce in the Discord at some point. If anyone has any suggestions, I'm open for suggestions. And wait, is anyone else have anything to plug before we stop? Fire, you were wanting to do a D&D thing, right?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's minor, but in regards to the one I was trying to gather people for.
Yeah, you wanna?
Oh yeah, Well, yes, I'm currently running a D&D game every other Friday 7 p.m. EST. I'm looking for if any people are interested in potentially getting a chance to join the game. Just let me know. It's a Pathfinder. It's a Pathfinder. We're all 9th level so far. Yeah, an evil campaign using the Way of the Wicked adventure path. Yeah.
How do they contact you?
Oh yeah, so you can contact me via Discord. My handle on there is Firehot or yeah, and World yeah, you should be able to contact me over there easily.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to plug? Pillow? Do you
Yes.
got it? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I do have
But you're out of frame now. Okay, sure, Nance. What is?
Yeah, you're not here.
I would like to tell everybody, if you're not followed on the Shadowcrown Discord yet, remember to join.
But there they can get your opinions, Nance. Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, but there I have power
Oh no.
and the ability to
I
sway
need,
you to
I,
my
need, I need to
opinions.
put you more out of frame. There.
More out
no,
of
no,
frame.
has unlimited power.
Now I'll put you in the little
Exactly.
corner here. There we go.
Sadly, I am not the Senate yet. I'm trying to work on that. Though. Just
Trying to work on that.
See, I'll put you in the bad corner. There we go.
just give me like another few months of plotting and scheming. Actually, yes, I need years to become Senate. Hey, Breaker, can I become the Senate?
No.
Okay,
You're gonna be in the bad corner now, behind Fire. There you go. Okay.
Is this room actually way bigger than it looks?
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, whoa.
That's a massive fireplace in the
Yeah.
back
No,
there.
Ninus is just very tiny. Tiny man with
Just a
tiny
small
opinions.
person.
That's what he is.
I'm
course.
not tiny. I use an average size wine glass for your information.
Uh-huh.
Actually, it's a white wine glass, but we don't talk about that.
Okay. Well, anyone? Unless anyone has anything else to say it now. No. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll try and do another podcast soon. Bye bye. Everybody say bye bye. Bye.
May the force be with you always.
The Last Jedi sucks. Okay, finish.